It is never easy to start a conversation, a difficult one with someone that you love and someone that you care about. And often what I've seen is that we can often just, we either jump straight into it wanting to talk about something that's actually serious and that's like a difficult conversation. We just jump straight into it. And that can be triggering for some people. Or what we also do is we might be scared of a conflict, so that we just avoid it. We avoid talking about it. We avoid this topic altogether until eventually one day it explodes in your face. And then you have no choice but to talk about it. And from my experiences coaching people and just what I've seen is that we can either go both, right? Like either we'll just talk about it and our partner is not prepared, or we just avoid it altogether because we're scared of conflicts and we don't talk about it at all. And so, how do you actually initiate a conversation? How do you start something? And actually setting the tone, the right tone, starting the conversation, initiating this communication between you and your partner in a good way actually really, really helps. It really, really determines if the communication turns out to be successful or not. And I just want to offer that, if you're going through something like this, there is something difficult you want to bring up with your partner, just know that it's not easy to say it. And it's supposed to make you a little bit nervous. If it's not because like you really care about it, right? And you really care about them, you really care about this relationship. It's supposed to make you feel nervous because you're putting your heart on the line this way. And there's always a risk, right? And there's always a risk of what we fear the most happening. At the same time, I also want to offer that what your mind is focused on is the worst outcome that could possibly be real, like the worst case scenario of what could happen coming out of this conflict, coming out of this conversation. But know that there are so many other possibilities that could happen as well, right? Especially if you know that your partner cares about you, if you know that they also care about this relationship, that of course they want to hear what you have to say. Of course, they want to know what's going on with you, how you're feeling, and really work together with you to make this relationship better, to strengthen and improve this relationship so that you can connect deeper with each other, right? So just know that, of course, they want to hear from you. This is the very first thing that can help you to be brave, to start that conversation is that actually they do want to hear from you. They do want to hear what you have to say. They want to know what's in your mind. And we can overthink sometimes, and then we never end up letting them know how we actually feel. And often, like miscommunication and, misunderstanding each other, this actually leads to what eventually makes or break a relationship. So know that other outcomes could also be true. Okay, besides the worst case scenario, there could also be many, many other outcomes that could also be true. It could be because of this conflict, and through this communication, the two of you grow even closer together. It can be because of this. This is an opportunity for you to understand each other so much better and to grow together because of it, right? Because you're being open with each other. You're letting each other know your vulnerable side and the side of you that is worried, that is afraid. And because you're sharing this with them, this is how you can improve together as a couple. So they actually know what's going on, right? So don't be scared of conflicts. Don't be scared of disagreements. And in many, many ways, it doesn't like conflicts, it does not always lead to a negative outcome. A lot of the times it sets a temporary disruption, right? It kind of like these conflicts and these difficult conversations, they create temporary disruption and then they help you to settle into a new normal in your relationship where you can connect deeper with each other, where you can grow together as a couple. So that's something that you can really think about. Don't be scared of conflicts. Don't be scared of disagreements. Conflicts, in many ways, they're actually good for you and they are actually required in order for you and your partner to go together. So, and also, even though this is a topic like it's about starting a conversation with your partner, you can also apply a lot of these concepts to, having a tough conversation with your sibling or with your parents, with a friend. They all work as well. So, how you start these conversations, setting the tone is so important. It is important to know how to initiate these talks, um, because they can really determine and decide whether or not this conversation and the outcome is good or not. So, um, okay, there's three things that I want to offer you with how you can start, how you can initiate a difficult conversation. The first thing is this. Number one, you want to ask for permission. Let the other person know that it is coming. Okay? You'll be surprised with how often people don't do this. It's like, oh, like they've been brewing on it for a while. They've been thinking about it for a while, and all of a sudden they just throw it all out, and it surprises the other person. The other person's kind of like, wait, what? I didn't know this is on your mind. I didn't know this is happening. I didn't know we're having the talk right now, right? Or like, or sometimes it might actually, it's like something that's important to you, but then you pretend it's not important to you. So you kind of like talk about it or bring it up in a very casual manner. So then your partner thinks that it's casual, but it's actually not. And then all of a sudden it turns into something serious and they totally do not expect it at all, right? And what this does is it can actually be quite triggering for them and quite triggering for their nervous system, especially if they are someone who is more sensitive to these kind of things, right? So always ask for permission, let them know that it's coming. You want to prepare them, right? Prepare them that, oh, you want to say something that's more serious with them. You want to have a conversation with them, right? Please no surprises. Please no. Personally, I'm also someone who does not like surprises and does not like serious talks like this. Like I want time to prepare. And I need space to get myself to like prepare for it as well. Now, if you don't want them to, you know, be too worried about it, then just say like, "Hey, do you have time tonight? I need to talk to you about something that's on my mind. Don't worry, it's nothing that is super serious, but I just want to get your opinions on something. Or I just want to talk to you about something, but it's nothing too serious." Right? You're like calming them, but then also at the same time letting them know that it's coming, preparing them that, oh, we're having a more serious conversation, so they know that it's coming. And also, if you're talking about something that really matters to you, then it deserves the attention and the space, right? Then you want to honor it. You want to really create the time for it. If you know that it's coming, if you know that this is a conversation that you really care about, then it deserves the attention, it deserves the seriousness, it deserves the space. And both of you should be on the same page first before you even begin. Okay. The second thing before you dive into the topic is this is what you want to do. You want to speak to their fears. You want to comfort their wounds and their fears. So, if this is your partner, if this is someone that you really care about, you probably know that every one of us, like this is what happens with all of us, right? Every one of us, we have a specific trigger. Like we have certain things and certain wounds that we can get triggered by, and that there's just a lot of more charge around it, right? We're very sensitive about. And so you want to speak to that first, right? So think about before you want to have this talk with them, what are their triggers? What are the things that can really trigger them, can really make them feel insecure or really like poke that wound that they had in their childhood or in the past, things like that. Some common ones are like maybe they might have the fear that, oh my gosh, like we're having the talk. This means that I'm not good enough for you. Or this might mean that you're going to leave. Or you're trying to go against me right now. So therefore, I must defend myself, right? A lot of the times people get triggered because maybe they think that they're being misunderstood or they feel unheard, they feel unseen by you, or maybe they somehow they're just hurt, right? Even if they're angry underneath that anger, I bet you they're just hurt. So they might feel hurt, they might feel unloved, they might feel not good enough, they might feel inadequate, they might feel unworthy, right? So before you say anything, you want to make them feel safe to actually be able to hear you, right? So speak to their wounds, speak to their fears first. So let me give you examples. It might look something like this. So before we start, I just want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with you and that there's nothing wrong with us. I just want to understand things from your perspective. That's all. I just want to hear your opinions on this. That's all. Right? Before I say anything, before I start, I just want to let you know that I'm not trying to be against you in any way. We're on the same team. We're trying to solve this specific problem, right? Before we begin, I just want to let you know that I still love you and I trust you. And recently I've been feeling, and you start going into the actual topic, right? Do you see how even before you say anything, you want to make them feel safe, right? Really let them know that there's not a huge problem that's happening right now. Um, and I'm having this conversation with you because I really care about you and I really care about us. And that we're in this together and that there's nothing wrong with them. Um, there's nothing wrong with us, right? This doesn't mean anything. And like all that it means is I want to understand things from your perspective because this is how I'm feeling right now. I want to know, I want to hear from you because this is how I'm feeling right now. Right? Do you see how this is a communication and we might just be both of us having different disagreements and we might have different opinions about certain things. And so now we're talking about it, right? So really make sure that you comfort them first, speak to their wounds and comfort their fears, help them calm their nervous system down instead of them going to their immediate triggers. And every one of us, we have our specific triggers that really takes us off, that really kind of like there's certain things that can really um poke us in the wound, right? So know what your partner's is, and then always speak to that first before you begin. Okay, so that's the second thing. You want to comfort their fears, you want to comfort their wounds first, right? Okay, now this is the third thing that you do. The third thing is that let them know what would be a better way for you to receive them. So, for example, maybe you're letting them know that it will be easier for me to actually take in your words if you don't shout. I just want to let you know that it will be easier for me to take in your words if you don't shout at me, because if you do that, then I will feel this need to defend myself because I will feel like I'm being attacked. And then both of us will be functioning on a like dysregulated nervous system, and then we end up just shouting at each other and not really getting anything through. Right? Do you see? You want to let them know, like remind them again what will help you best for you to receive what they have to say. Or you can let them know that um I might lose my words in the moment because I'm just so deep in my emotions. And it might I might need some time for me to process it and get back to you. But just because in the moment I have nothing to say, that doesn't mean that I didn't hear you. I heard you, but I just need some space to process because in the moment I won't know what to say, right? Or maybe you let them know that um as we're talking about this, if you can give me more space to think about it, it will be a lot easier for me to respond because I'm not someone who can say things on the spot, right? Okay, does that make sense? So again, three things for you to do even before you start the conversation. Number one is you want to ask for permission, prepare them into it. And second is you want to comfort their fears first. Make them feel safe, comfort their fears, comfort their triggers. And number three is you want to remind them what will help you best receive their words, right? And once all of these three things are in place, you've properly set the tone, then that's when you actually start talking about the actual topic that you want to talk about. Then this is when you actually like go into the talking about the situation, right? And also like when you're having the conversation and having the discussion with each other, what will often help is that you take responsibility for your own feeling, which are created like your emotions, right? Your feelings are created by your interpretations of them, right? In the moment, it might be very charged, and you might feel like it is totally because of your partner, that's why you're angry. It is totally because of them, that's why you're feeling sad, depressed, uncertain, a certain way. But what this does is we end up making them responsible for how we feel. And a lot of the times when we start the conversation this way, it will be very, very hard for us to um like kind of like separate ourselves from the situation. And so what I want to offer is so let me give you an example, okay? Maybe you're telling your partner that um maybe let's say just for example, you want them to do house chores more and you feel like you're doing all the work. So you might let them know that you like right now you're not doing the dishes, you're not doing the house chores, and you're not offering help. And you not offering help, I am making it mean. Do you see? I am making it mean that you don't respect me, and that makes me feel hurt. And so it's always about your interpretations of the situation because your thoughts about them and your thoughts about your situation is actually making you feel a certain way, right? So this is what I teach in life coaching and our sessions together is that your thoughts create your emotions and your thoughts always create how you feel. This is how we take responsibility of and owning how we feel so that we can control how we feel without outsourcing that to someone else. And so when we're having this type of conversation with them, it will be so much more helpful if we also our own our feelings and take responsibility for our feelings this way. So it will look like maybe you want them to do more dishes, for example, right? So you might tell them that um, you're not doing the dishes right now, and this is making mean, right? And I'm making this situation mean that you don't respect me. And because I make it mean that you don't respect me, I am feeling hurt or I am feeling not respected. Do you see? My interpretation of what you're doing is making me feel a certain way. Or you can let me know, or you can let them know, for example, because we're not officially together right now, and you're not clear about what our situation is right now between the two of us, I'm making this mean that you don't want to commit with me. And this is making me feel very uncertain. And this is making me feel very anxious, right? So you can let them know, like, you can let them know what you're making it mean, your interpretation of their actions and their behaviors, and what's that making you mean. And because of what that's making you mean, that's making you feel a certain way, right? And then you let them speak to that. And this is where you really have a more responsible conversation instead of blaming the other people for making you feel a certain way, right? This will um, help them to feel less attacked as well by you. And it will help them to be able to speak to you in a much calmer manner as well. Um, Now, I know that these are very like how you talk about perhaps in the moment you might just forget all of this because you're so deep in the emotion, and I just want to offer that's okay as well. Um, Setting the tone and how you initiate the conversation will help you so much into really be able to discuss it in a much calming manner. But also at the same time, just know that difficult conversations, they're difficult for a reason, right? Because this is someone that you care about. This is something that really matters to you. A lot of the times you are being vulnerable for speaking up this way, and you're being vulnerable for initiating these conversations, and you're very, very brave for doing so. And you're putting your heart on the line this way, right? And so you're doing your best, you're trying your best, and I hope that these tips can really help you set yourself into the right tone and really ask yourself how you can best prepare yourself to have this conversation instead of just jumping right in. And then on the spot, like you're being forced to say something on the spot, and then you end up saying things that you actually don't want to talk about, or you end up saying words that you actually don't mean, right? And then it just creates more misunderstanding with each other. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Let me quickly recap. Number one, you ask for permission. Number two, you comfort and speak to their wounds and to their fears. Number three, you remind them what will help you best receive their words. And then you dive into a conversation. And when you're in a conversation, try to take responsibility for your own feelings instead of making how you feel, instead of outsourcing how you feel to their behaviors, own your own feelings, and just share with them, let them know how what your interpretation of it is and what you're making that mean and how you're feeling because of it, right? Okay, I hope this has been helpful. So with these ideas, and you're being so brave, and know that conflicts can help the two of you grow even closer together. Wishing you all the best, and you can do this. All right, have a great week. I will talk to you next week. Bye.